I like...
Resident Evil.
I don't have a rich story with this franchise. I only got into it in 2018 when RE2 Remake came out. Sure, I beat a couple of games, my interest in the franchise is quite high, I like Leon, Claire and others. It's a really solid franchise and it doesn't have that many bad games, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan. A part of the reason why is because this franchise is so large, it's divided into little groups that just cannot agree with one another. So I'm sure some of you will be pissed off when I say that I like Leon. I think he's a cool character and I was excited when I saw him in the new Resident Evil game. Capcom was rewriting his character with the remakes, and while I didn't enjoy the changes, I thought that RE4 Leon is more interesting than Remake Leon. Remake Leon is just more bland, so he would fit more in the more realistic and grounded approach of the remakes. But seeing Leon in the Requiem trailers got me excited because I thought that maybe he's finally going to receive the character development he so desperately needed. In the 30 years Leon was around, we don't know much about him. Apart from his traumatized survivor, a skilled agent, he has a cool sense of humor.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
And he is rocking a banger haircut. And maybe here in the new game he's going to become an actually interesting character. Maybe they are going to give us something that we've never seen before. Grace.
Yes?
Yeah, there is an entirely new character now. Yeah, sure. I mean, Capcom keep having a habit of introducing completely new characters into the franchise when their existing ones don't have much development. But sure, Grace seems interesting, even if I'm sure she's not going to appear in any future titles. I was interested to play this game, and after hearing from some people on the internet that the game is supposedly a masterpiece, my expectations have gone up even more. If people keep saying that the game is 10 out of 10, then it surely can't be bad. And spoilers, this game isn't bad, it's good. Maybe even great if I'm having a good day. But calling it a masterpiece? Sorry, but I disagree. Let's talk about positives first. I like Grace, I think she's a really solid character. Her voice actress did an incredible job of voicing her. Seriously, this is some of the best voice performance I've heard in a long while. And her gameplay in the care center is definitely the best part of this game. I loved exploring it, the game constantly kept you on your toes. It was actually sometimes so intense that I didn't want to continue playing it because of how much it threw at me, but in a good way. From the resource scarcity to the new enemy types being introduced, playing as Grace I felt vulnerable at all times. I haven't felt that from a game in a long time. Even in RE2 Remake, which Requiem took inspiration from. It's the only game in the series apart from RE7 where I felt genuinely scared and didn't want to continue. I think it's mainly because of the things that trigger me personally. For example, RE2 Remake didn't make me feel scared at all both as Leon and Claire. Now, what else? Crafting with blood is a neat addition, you can get more blood by shooting certain parts of zombies. It's fun managing blood to craft the items you need. But now we get to the parts of the game that I have questions to. Firstly, it's Leon. I don't think they've managed to balance his section with Grace. While she gets to explore the care center with meaningful gameplay for quite a long time, Leon gets like 15 or 20 minutes of not very fun gameplay. I'm sorry, but Leon's gameplay here is not as enjoyable as both RE4 Remake and original RE4. And when the game lets you play as Leon in Raccoon City, it's a really mixed bag. The pacing jumps all over the place. Boss fight with the giant spider was fun. It was cool seeing giant spiders from older games in modern Resident Evil. But then pacing slows down to a halt when you have to find detonator parts to blow up a fence. It actually reminded me of The Last of Us in a way. Same ruined city, old looking zombies, resource scarcity. Only it looks quite dull. Last of Us had some beautiful scenery with nature and stuff like that. I get that Raccoon City was bombed, but it still looks quite dull. Almost half of the game just looks grey. But this segment just drags on and on. It's needlessly long and dragged out. After that comes the motorbike minecart shooting section. I say that because it's not much different from the same section in RE4 Remake. You're still on rails. Here it's figuratively, there it's literally. Seriously, Toy Story 3 had a better sequence than this, minus the shooting. You're on a goddamn motorbike and can only go forward. I'm not asking for an open world game here, but at least make me do something instead of just holding forward and shooting. No wait, you actually don't have to press anything, you can only control the bike for a couple of seconds in the beginning, but then you just shoot. But the return to RPD is pretty good, thank god. They remixed the original RE2 soundtrack here and it's amazing. I can only imagine how long-time fans felt in this moment because even I had goosebumps. Oh! It has some level of exploration and a secret puzzle which is fun to solve. The Mr. X segment is fun and everything past that in Leon section is fine. Apart from the giant plant section which is pretty boring. But I'm just baffled as to why they chose to drag on that part with the detonator for so long. It would have been so much better if it was smaller for like a quarter or even third and made the RPD section longer somehow. Some parts in the East Raccoon City are genuinely good, like the breaking glass section, the zombie shooting mortars, the lift section. They are good, but everything else in the East Raccoon City is quite forgettable. And I think it's pretty funny how they replace the merchant with a box that tracks your kills. That's just gamey as hell to the point that it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I like Leon, and I do think that he can be an interesting character, and at times in this game he shows his potential, but his gameplay sections are just not it in my opinion. I think both Resident Evil 4s feel a lot smoother and more responsive, from even the little things such as the inventory. I mean, these washed out colors don't look good. I often found myself confusing the different types of ammo in my inventory. At a quick glance, it's hard to determine which one is which was never a problem in previous games. Even Grace doesn't have this problem. Two more meaningful things like how movement, aiming and melee feels. It's solely my problem, but sometimes after playing Requiem I felt a little dizzy because of how both Grace and Leon movement feels in third person. Then there is the weird aiming which feels the worst out of all Resident Evil games that I've played. Firstly, it's not snappy, it takes actually a long time to start aiming, you can't run after aiming for a while, and secondly, it zooms too much to the point that you can't understand what is happening around you properly. And melee simply doesn't feel nearly as good as RE4 games. Requiem has this quote-unquote feature with melee. When you hit an enemy with a weapon or kick them, it has a frozen frame like it's stuck in the enemy. Personally, I hate this and much prefer when hitting an enemy is a single sequence from wind up to the hit and cooldown. When it doesn't have these stops in between, it makes combat slow and sluggish. I had the same problem in, for example, Doom the Dark Ages with parrying. In that game, after parrying there is quite a long and heavy slow-mo effect. It makes combat really slow, but at least you could customize it in that game. Here you just have to deal with it. And these cringy over-the-top finishers. I have no clue how people find these even remotely cool. Even something the same in Red Dead 1 or 2 looks miles better than what we have here. While some of them do look genuinely good, some of them were so bad that I actually had to take a second to process what just happened. And since we are on the topic of cringe, I've got to say this. Leon in this game is so cringe. I genuinely, for the life of me, do not understand how overwhelming majority of people find Leon cool in this game. If you think he's pretty and handsome and whatnot, that's fine, that's completely fine. But I was cringing so hard during gameplay when he did certain actions, and how the camera was clearly positioned to feed all those people that droll over fictional characters. I find his voice to be really goofy, like it was specifically made to be more cool than before. Maybe I'm retarded, but I haven't seen people in their 40s or 50s with such a deep and gravelly voice, when they sounded way different before. Maybe it was made to show that he has become so seasoned. In 2 Remake he sounded really young and inexperienced.
Grab my shoulder.
Don't push it, Rookie.
Okay, just trying to help.
In 4 Remake, his voice became deeper and more gravely to show that he's not a rookie cop anymore, he's an experienced special agent.
Don't worry about me. Ashley is the priority.
But in Requiem, oh my god, it's blown out of proportion completely to the point that I just laughed at his one-liners most of the time.
I do have a question. When the last time you brushed your teeth?
And not for the reasons of before in 2 Remake, OG RE4 and RE6. Here in Requiem, he's clearly trying to aura farm, but it's just laughable.
Sorry, but I'm not on the menu.
At least I think. And I haven't even started talking about the story, oh my god. I will be spoiling the plot of this game and also the ending of Far Cry 3, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you can click off. I find this story to be not only completely stupid for even Resident Evil standards, but just straight up disrespectful to previous titles. Again, Leon doesn't have much going on for him in this game. Like before, he has like one scene with Grace that's interesting and a scene in the gun shop, but that's literally it. Grace, on the other hand, is actually interesting. She shows fear, she often shows that she's not comfortable in the situation she's in, and she actually feels like a person. But I have a lot of questions to this story. Firstly, where did this T-virus infection come from? And why did this infection begin to show symptoms 30 entire years later? There is no sensible explanation to it anywhere. At least I didn't find any. If you can educate me, please do, I wanna know. That would be the same if Leon will have the Plaga in the next game, and it will be the driving point for him in the next game. In the good ending, Leon and Sherry are cured, but what about others? Claire, Jill, Carlos? Maybe Jill is fine because of events of RE3, but what about others? Will they explain that in the sequels or DLCs? I hope so, because it's really weird. This game was also marketed as a return to familiar locations, Raccoon City, RPD, Mr. X, so why on earth did nobody else get even mentions? It's supposed to be a return to where it all began, but what about Ada and others? They are iconic characters that debuted from the events that happened in the city. There are a huge amount of people that love those characters, so why they aren't even mentioned? Leon and Sherry don't mention Claire even once, when Claire literally saved Sherry. Then I don't like this sudden revelation that apparently there was an entire laboratory hidden under Raccoon City. It just feels lazy and comes out of nowhere. By the way, speaking about coming out of nowhere, the T-virus infection that I talked about, it comes out of nowhere and it is solved without any trouble. I hate when games and media in general does that. Why care if it's gonna be solved regardless, and without any sacrifice? And do you want me to believe that Spencer, at the end of his life, suddenly felt guilt and remorse for the damage he and his company has done for the world? And this is why he created Elpis, the magical cure that cures everything. I've played Resident Evil 5, Spencer did not feel guilty, in fact he wanted to become a god. Why do they keep retconning everything? To what end? I don't get it. The two villains of this game are a mixed bag, I think. Victor is at least a little charismatic, he's entertaining to watch on screen, but Zeno, I feel like it's actually a joke. It's not even a character, it's Albert Wesker from Wish or something. And he gets killed off in the end without any drama. Oh, and by the way, the endings are really bad, it's actually painful. The bad ending is extremely short, it's just a cutscene which is not canon, so it can be just forgotten immediately, which developers also want you to do, because if you choose the bad ending, the game literally encourages you to return and make a different choice. There are no consequences. You don't even have to replay the game or a portion of the game. That way your choice would have some weight to it, but no, you can just go back in time if you didn't make the right decision. And the good ending is literally the worst good ending I have seen in a long time. Everybody bad dies and everybody good lives. I'm sorry, but even Emily lives. The one person that shouldn't survive survives. I originally thought that maybe, just maybe, the game has multiple choices along the story, and if I don't shoot Emily here, something will change. But no, it's a completely scripted sequence, and even if you don't shoot, the game does it for you. Why even do this sequence like that if your game is linear? I don't get why they did multiple endings that don't depend on anything but your choice in the end. Far Cry 3 did this, but it was executed a lot better in my opinion. Even if you choose the good ending in that game, Jason, the main character, shows that he's still a monster. It will be difficult for him to adjust to his regular life, which he almost forgot about. It's a bittersweet ending. Even though Jason has gone through hell and rescued his friends, he will never be the same.
I've killed so many people, I've lost count. I can't come back from this. I'm a monster. I can feel the anger inside me. But I am still somewhere inside me more than that. Better than that.
In the bad ending, you kill your friends and get killed. Both of these scenes can be considered canon depending on who you ask, because it's a coherent story that started and ended in one game. And you can't return and redo your choices as easily. Jason's story began and ended in Far Cry 3, but clearly Leon's story will continue, so I don't get why they did multiple endings apart from maybe shock value. You see what I mean? Why have a choice if it doesn't matter in the slightest? But I'm not going to lie. These scenes with Leon redeem this whole story for me in a way, because finally there is some depth to the character. Finally I can think about some special moment for Leon, even if it is small. I mean, they've been building up his character for years across multiple games and movies, and seeing him blossom here is just incredible. Even if they are just small scenes and they are not that much different from what we saw in previous games. Some tropes literally copy themselves. I hope this won't happen again if or when Leon returns. I hope he won't be completely centered around September 30th,
1998. It's a day I'll never forget.
when he returns, and we are all sure he will return again. I hope his character will be doing something different in the next game. You might consider most of the things I said nitpicks, like who cares, it's not that big of a deal, but in my opinion they are quite important things which hinder the experience. But despite all of the things I said, I would be lying to you if I said that I don't like the game or that I didn't enjoy playing it. It's a really well made game, there is a lot of fun to be had. It just feels shallow for me, like it's just another Resident Evil game. There is very little innovation in gameplay, if any at all. They just took their previous games and mashed them all into this one. Story relies more on hype moments rather than to actually make sense, and the game leaves a lot to be desired, to be honest. It's kind of short, I beat it in 10 hours on my first playthrough, and I really took my time, clearing rooms and enemies as Grace as much as I could and exploring every corner of Raccoon City as Leon. I just wish there was more interesting gameplay sections, more character development. Leon is long overdue for a game where he truly gets to shine, and not just 2 scenes and that's it. This actually reminds me of Spider-Man 2 in a way, if you can believe. Both great games, but both were rushed and have lots of missed potential. Of course, RE9 is not as bad as Spider-Man 2, the plot is not as stupid to the point that it's painful, it doesn't make the characters do something out of character, but they do share something, like for example some plot beats that come and go out of nowhere, but you can really tell that the game was rushed. Grace's half of the game feels meaningful, you actually do stuff, there is character development. Leon's section on the other hand feels pretty forgettable. You explore random environments for most of it, and in the RPD, the moment that we've all been waiting for since the first teaser, you explore it for like 10 minutes. You can say that it's ruins, and what did you expect, but I disagree. At the end of the day, it's a game, so it's possible to make something interesting out of those locations. So they could be remembered for something else rather than just nostalgia bite for the times when this place was actually interesting. Also, this game doesn't have New Game Plus. It has a really weird version of New Game Plus. After beating the game once, it changes in its own version of New Game Plus with bonus weapons, upgrade stations placed from the start, and you can't start a regular new game. It didn't have photo mode at the start as well. This just shows me that the game was rushed in development, when it doesn't have even the most basic features. So overall I would say that it's just an okay game. It doesn't excel at anything, nor does it exceed at anything. Prior games for the most part have brought something new to the table, even the remakes. But I can't say the same for this game. It's just a well-made, compiled version of previous games. There is some survival horror, some action, hype moments and nostalgia moments, all made with a good level of quality, but a dumbed down version of all previous games if you compare them. And that's why I genuinely don't get why so many people rate this game so highly. I didn't see anything extraordinary for which the game received such high praise, and I'm willing to bet that a couple of months after release people will catch on and realize that this game is not as great as they thought, just like Spider-Man 2. Maybe of course I'm completely wrong and you can explain to me why, but right now as it stands I don't get why this game is considered a masterpiece. That's pretty much all I have to say. I'll end the video here. Thank you for watching.